How you doing, everyone? It's Joe from Living to Learn. I'm just out here on a dander and I found a nice spot to come and stand, and I was reading a question from Steve McDermott, who's a great guy, who is, he posed the question of that one day he hopes to be able to go out with just a kind of little amount of kit and being comfortable, and he's working really hard on it. Steve is a great guy and a great part of many communities on Facebook, and it's a pleasure to kind of answer this for you, Steve, but it's kind of too broad for Messenger and things like that. So the way I want to work reductionism, and again, thank you all for your support. It's one of the main reasons to keep going out here, but it's been a really enjoyable process to learn along with all you guys and girls. So I think I'll work it in the sense of I'll have a theory video, a practical video, and a theory video and a practical video. The theory video being the first one was the introduction to it, and then the second one was the time calorie resources demonstration with the tarp tent. And I think in this one I'm going to talk about the terminology about losing weight and shedding weight from your pack, and with a little bit of an insight into how I done it as well. Because I believe to kill the beast, you must first know its name. So in order to navigate the social media streams and then YouTube and the internet in general, you have to know the key word of what you're looking for. Like in The Matrix, when Agent Smith is interrogating Morpheus, he knows that you can crack anything once you know the right words to say. And it's the same with your kit and stuff like that. Once you know the terminology that the experts or the people involved in that world are using, you can find it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the different types of weight that you carry. Because this is where most people kind of get a bit beat up. Like when you're trying to quit something or change a habit, having a bit of relapse and stuff can kind of make you feel bad and that. And we're not about feeling bad when it comes to the outdoors here. So there's two types of weight that you carry. There's your base weight, the important one. And then there's the external weight, or your final loadout weight, which there is no real kind of terminology for, but I call it unsprung weight. And the reason why I call it unsprung weight is because when car designers are looking at designing a car and they want to reduce the weight on it, because there is no question that hasn't been answered before, so car designers is where I went, is that you have sprung weight, which is everything that sits on the suspension of the frame, and then you kind of got unsprung weight, which is kind of external factors, you know, spoilers and all that kind of stuff. The external factors you can change and reduce, but when you want to reduce weight drastically, you're after the sprung weight, which is your base load out, and then you got your unsprung weight, which is kind of all the peripheries, the driver, helmets, that kind of stuff. So in order to really drastically reduce and change the performance of the car, you're looking at the sprung weight, which is the base weight of your kit. The base weight is everything that you would carry all the time, which is what the reductionism system is all about, to work on your base weight kit, not the external unsprung weight, because that is too, you can't control that in a sense, because you know, you don't want to eat steak every time you're out in the woods. Well, most of us, but you don't want to eat steak every time you're out in the woods, nor do you want to live on pasta and porridge for the rest of your days either when you're out and about. You want to switch things up and enjoy it, and if you're into, you know, if you're doing a bit of bushcraft, you want to bring tools with you, and you want to bring less some day and more the other day, and then it's environmentally, you could have to bring 3 liters of water, no water because there's a water source. You can't control those external factors, and that's where most people get caught out, because they're like, oh, I'm back up to 15 kilos again, but yet I'm only carrying my knife. And you shouldn't feel bad about that, because that's your unsprung weight. That's weight that you just can't avoid in order to have a good time out there and not be miserable. But where you can reduce weight and where you will see weight stay off is in your base weight loadout. So by reducing your base weight loadout, so you could say, for example, you're going to do a 4-day hike. There's very little water sources, so you got to bring food for 4 days, and that's a personal choice whether you choose to carry heavy food or light food in that sense, freeze-dried or ready-made. And then you're going to have to bring water and a water filter, those kind of things. So with your original base weight, before looking at it with reductionism and skills, your original base weight is 10 kilos, and that food and water that you have to bring is going to be 10 kilos. So you're looking at 20 kilos all in. Now, you can't reduce this without being uncomfortable. You can't reduce food or water and stuff like that. You're just getting dangerous. But what you can do is reduce your base weight, your core weight. And then what you'll find is that when you get your base weight down to a comfortable, say 5 kilos, back of the envelope calculations, but then all of a sudden, even though you still have to carry this, you're looking at 15 kilos. So you've dropped 5 kilos. And that's the way to work it, is concentrate on your base weight kit, your sprung weight. I'll show you how to do this, or how I went about reducing this in a kind of a slow and steady gradual thing. You don't want to just rip things. Like I said, never take things out of your kit just for the sake of doing it. Alright, if you want to do an exercise and go out and try some projects and leave some kit at home, that's fine, but never stop carrying something just because really. So I stress journals a lot. They're a fantastic thing. Don't have to be fancy, don't have to be anything. Most of the time I carry just a moleskin in my back pocket. Just something to scribble on when you're out in the woods, thoughts and stuff like that. Here is the system that I use. Sorry, I got a pair over the top. But you see my kit here, my base weight kit. Nothing external in regards to food and stuff like that. But this is my base weight kit. I carry it 3 times. I'm very lucky to have 3 different environments very close to where I live. I got mountains, I got kind of little parks like this one, and I got forests. So 3 strikes is the system I work, because yeah, I like my equipment to be multi-purpose, and not for any hardcore survival reason, but it is a benefit if that is the case, but more just because I'm a common man with a common job. If I can buy one thing that's going to do 5 things, well then happy days. But the one thing that I do always stress is I like my stuff to be multi-environmental. I don't spend all my time in the forest, I don't spend all my time in the mountains, but I like to have, as best I can, in my base weight loadout, something that will do everywhere. A poncho is always going to work in every environment, a stainless steel cup and water bottle is always going to work in every environment, a gas cooker is always going to work in every environment. So that's your base weight loadout. But then when you're going to the mountains, you can add a little bit, or if you're going to the forest, you can add a little bit or take away a little bit, but base weight. So I operate the 3 strike system, and then I have a friends list, because if you camp with guys or you girls and you're out and about and they've tried stuff and it doesn't work, it's a fantastic way of saving you money too. If someone has tried a sleep mattress and they didn't like it and you trust their opinion, happy days. They're not in anybody's books, they're not getting paid to advertise anything. Friends are a fantastic ball of knowledge, whether online or in real life. Then you had the wish I had. Now this is also skills based. Alright, at the moment in this one it's just kits, but in the wish I had list when I started out, and I mean I still do a wish I had list in my head, but this is skills and kit. So you could be out and you could be doing something, maybe you want to build a tripod and your lashing isn't up to par, and you just can go, well, I wish I knew lashing's a bit better, and just make a note of it, so then when you go back and you do get time to sit down and do a bit of research, you know what you got going on. But you can see that you got the 3 strike system here, and then for repairing. And this is a fantastic way to have a look at your skills and what you may also be lacking or want to work at. When I was looking at my base weight kit, I noticed that I use matches and ferros and matches, and I very rarely use char cloth unless I had the intentions of going out and practicing with char cloth. But yet I always carried my char tin. So I wanted to drop my char tin and its accoutrements from my base weight loadout in order to just kind of free up a bit of space and see if I could do it. So I noticed that this is where I kind of copped that I never used it but always carried it. So I said to myself, I want to remove it from my base weight kit, but I don't want to be without char cloth either. So then of course I hit the internet and looking at it with TCR to reduce kind of what it is in time, calorie and resources, I found that char cloth can be created in various other ways, and I'll demonstrate that in one of the future videos. So I could either carry a small bit of char cloth in a little doggy bag, either in my bag or in my pocket, or I can make it up on the go, and that came from the fact that I didn't want to carry my char tin no more. So my beloved Hudson Bay tin doesn't come out with me, but you can make char by, you should always have some sort of bandana or signalling device or piece of cloth on you. That should be 100% cotton, that goes without saying. But by wrapping this simply around a stick, hitting it with a lighter, holding a match up to it, or or you can bury it in the fire, you can make it in your bottle, if you can make it in your cup. But I used my journal to look at skills I needed, not skills that I wanted to know, but skills that would genuinely benefit me when I was out and about in the woods. So I learned the various ways to make char cloth. Some I was good at, some I wasn't. But then I had the confidence to leave my char kit at home. So I don't carry a char tin with me anymore. Very rarely. I might carry a little bag of char cloth if I'm heading off for a longer expedition. But that's how I figured that out. I figured it out quick. Within 3 trips, I had found a new skill area that I wanted to practice that would benefit me. I had managed to drop stuff from my base weight, and then I had seen stuff that would benefit me in future with skills and equipment. By dropping my char cloth and a couple of other bits, it freed up space for me to maybe give something else a try. So there you go, Steve. I hope it's a very fast video. It's kind of a lot to cover. I try and keep these to under 10 minutes so you can watch them with a cup of tea. But get a journal and work out a strike system or a strikeout system that kind of works for you and your environment and what you want to learn out there. Not just for kit, but for skills. And by keeping an easy record of it, you'll reduce it. And you're looking to reduce your base weight items. Don't beat yourself up over unsprung weight in your kit. So there you go. Joe from Living to Learn. Out.